Hello, friends. Welcome back to Heart Together Radio. Pour yourself a cup of coffee and settle in. It was one of those slow, easy Saturday afternoons when even the clock seemed to be on break. I was sitting in my favorite armchair, the one with the cushion molded to my shape after 30 years. My wife used to say that old chair would outlive me. Well, joke's on her. It's still holding up better than I am. You ever have one of those afternoons where time just drifts by like a lazy river? That's what it was. Just me, sunlight on the floor, and good coffee that was actually hot for once. Then I heard it. Sneakers pounding up my driveway, followed by the screen door swinging open with that familiar creak. I've been promising to oil that door for years now, and it's still squeaking away, proud of it. By now, that squeak's basically family, loud, annoying, but always around. I think the neighbors time their watches by it. Didn't even get my first sip of coffee before my grandson came crashing in like a full-blown hurricane, full of energy and questions. And like every good storm, he brought noise, chaos, and about a dozen Legos under my feet. He stood there catching his breath, hair sticking up in 7 directions. He gave me that look, you know, the one that says, "Buckle up, Grandpa." Grandpa, I need to read you something, right now. When an 8-year-old tells you that with urgency, you pay attention. I set my coffee down, already resigned to it getting cold. "All right, kiddo, I'm all ears." "What have you got there?" He plopped down next to me, smoothing out that crumpled paper on his lap. That paper looked like it had survived 3 wars and maybe a food fight. "It's my homework, Grandpa. My teacher said we had to write about kindness and share it with someone we love. So I picked you. Now I'll tell you something, friends. At my age, I'm more like the guy keeping the bench warm. Sometimes they forget I'm even on the team. So when he said someone I love, and that someone was me, I almost lost my dentures, and not metaphorically this time. Wait. Hold on. You picked me? Out of everyone? Yeah, Grandpa. You're the kindest person I know. I felt my throat get tight. You're not just Grandpa the babysitter. You're Grandpa the chosen one, the one who made the cut. Funny thing, that wrinkled paper looked a lot like life. Messy. Worn, but still beautiful if you look close. Full of coffee stains, probably, but still holding something precious inside. He cleared his throat, suddenly serious like a tiny professor about to lecture the world. Outside, I could hear Mr. Peterson's lawnmower doing its weekly battle with dandelions. The grandfather clock ticked steadily. But in that living room, time seemed to pause, like the whole universe was waiting for an 8-year-old to speak. He took a deep breath and began. The lesson in his words. He started reading, his voice clear and proud. My essay is called Kindness. Kindness is when you listen, even if you've heard the story before. It's when you share your fries, even though you wanted them all to yourself. I felt something catch in my chest. This wasn't just homework. This was him watching the world, really watching it. Kindness is helping Mom carry the groceries and not telling her that one of the eggs cracked, because she already looks tired. Oh, that hit me. That hit me hard. I remembered my own mother carrying bags up 3 flights of stairs, never complaining. How many times had I seen her tired and said nothing? He kept reading, gaining confidence. It's saying sorry, even if you were only a little wrong. It's sitting next to the new kid at lunch and pretending his joke was funny so he doesn't feel alone. I had to blink hard. This little boy understood something it took me 70 years to figure out. That sometimes kindness means making someone else feel seen, even when it costs you nothing but a moment. Kindness is like magic, only this kind actually works. Because when you use it, people smile, and the world feels lighter. My throat tightened. I thought about all the times I'd rushed past someone, too busy, too preoccupied with my own troubles to notice theirs. Then he looked up at me, his eyes bright, and I think Grandpa is the kindest person I know. Because he listens, even when I talk too much. That did it. I was done. My eyes springing a leak. It happens when you've been around a while. Grandpa, you okay? Yeah, kiddo. Keep going. Is there more? That's it. That's my whole essay. I sat there holding my breath, because if I breathed too hard, I might just fall apart completely. This 8-year-old had just summed up what it means to be human better than any philosopher I'd ever read. And I found myself remembering the nurse at County General who said a prayer with me before my bypass surgery. Never knew her name, but I'll never forget her face. That's the real deal, not the kind you can pick up in a bulk pack at Walmart. I remembered my buddy Tom calling every single morning after my Martha passed away, making sure I wasn't sitting alone in the dark. Some mornings I didn't want to answer, didn't want to pretend I was okay. But he kept calling anyway. That's friendship at its finest, the kind that doesn't give up on you. I remembered the stranger at the grocery store who paid for my groceries when I'd forgotten my wallet. I was so embarrassed, holding up the line while everyone sighed behind me. She just smiled and said, "Happens to the best of us." I remembered the cold January morning when I shoveled Mrs. Wilson's driveway after she lost her husband, Bill. My back grumbled for 3 days after, but hey, some things are worth the ache. When she came out with tears to thank me, I told her the only payment I needed was a smile and maybe one of her chocolate chip cookies. She gave me 2 the next day, and let me tell you, friends, forgiveness has never tasted so sweet. Apparently, a certain little boy had been watching through our kitchen curtains that morning, taking mental notes like a tiny detective. My grandson was still looking at me, waiting. "You sure you're okay, Grandpa? You look kinda watery. Just my eyes acting up. But your essay, kiddo, that was something special. Really? You think it's good? Good? That's the finest essay I've ever heard in my entire 73 years. And I'm not just saying that because you're my grandson. I'm saying it because it's the honest truth. You just taught me more in 5 minutes than I learned in the last 5 years." He beamed, then took off running to the kitchen, feet thundering on the old hardwood. "Grandma! Grandpa loved my essay. He said it's the best one ever. He got watery." I sat there holding that paper still warm from his hands. The ink was smudged in one corner, probably from his thumb. Here I was, 73 years old, thinking I'd learned everything worth knowing. But a little boy with messy hair and untied shoelaces had just reminded me what actually matters. Not the job, not the money, not the junk gathering dust out in my garage, but the small, quiet acts of kindness that ripple out long after we're gone, like stones thrown in still water. Kids remember that one nice thing you said back in who knows when, and forget all the times you said no. They catch your words like fireflies in a jar, keep them glowing. Sometimes we think we're teaching our grandchildren, but if we're paying attention, really paying attention, they're teaching us just as much, maybe even more.